Good day all. Welcome to another video from Python Novice to Pro channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can create multi-dimensional lists with list comprehension. Now, a multi-dimensional list is simply a nested list where you have a list within a list. It can be a 2D list or a 3D list. While list comprehension is a short syntax for creating lists, which is better than using a for loop. Many beginners resort to using for loops for creating lists, but I would advise you to use list comprehension. It's shorter, it's faster, and it's more Pythonic. Now, on your screen here is a code to create a multi-dimensional list with 3 lists and 3 items. You can see on line 2, I've stated the multiple assignments for the rows and the columns. I want it to be a list will contain 3 lists, and each of the lists inside the main list will have 3 items. So on line 3, you can see the list comprehension used for it. The main list, the list comprehension creates the main list. Then the code that says for in I in range rows creates the rows of the multi-dimensional list. Then when it creates each of the lists, then for j in range columns will create each of the items in each of the lists, and then it will append it with 0 for the items. Now let's print it and see how to create a list containing 3 lists with 3 items. Now that's it. This is it here. You can see it that we have a list containing 3 lists with 3 items, and each of the items is 0. Now what if we want to populate the list with values? If we want to populate the list, now here we have a list containing 5 lists and 2 items for each. In line 5, just as in the previous example, we created a multi-dimensional list using the list comprehension. Now the interesting part is from lines 7 to 12. What I want to do here is each of the items, I want to populate it from 1 to 10 because we have 10 items in the multi-dimensional list. So I want to populate them from 1 to 10. I'll use 2 for loops here. In line 8 is the for loops for the rows. It says for each row, or for I in range rows, for each row. Then line 9 say for each row, then for each item, for j in range columns, for each item. What we do is go to the row which is I, index I, and go to the item which is index j and populate it with the count. Then after that, increase count. You can see that as this runs 10 times, count increases from 1 to 10. Each of the items goes 1, 2, 3 up to 10. Now let's see how it will print, how it will show itself. You can see it here. You see each of the items goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down to 10. So this is one way that you can populate the multi-dimensional list using the indexing method. In this line 10, I index the rows and j index each of the items in the for loop. Now let me show you a way some people create multi-dimensional lists that you will get unusual results. For example, if you create a multi-dimensional list this way, you say we want to create a list containing 3 rows and 2 items in each row. You say no. I'm sure you're familiar with this. I'm sure you must have seen people do this before. What it does is it just takes the list inside the none that is copied, that is supposed to be copied twice, then it populates it with 3 lists outside. Now let's see how this will print. It will show none for all, but you would think that what you got is what you are looking for. For example, let me print it. You see, it shows none for all. That's what I asked you to do. Quite correctly, this created a multi-dimensional list of 3 lists with 2 items, each of the items being none. But now, what if we want to populate the first row and the first column, or the first row and the first item in the first row? What if we say multi-dim list 0, 0? I will say let it be 5. Let me show you what will happen. I'm commenting that one out so it doesn't print. Now let's see what will happen. You see an unusual behavior. You see that we wanted to populate the first row and the first item with 5, but unfortunately all the first item in all the rows were populated with 5. Why is it like that? This is because when you created the internal columns, which is times 2, it was copying the none times 2, but it's not a correct copy. It was by reference. So when you created the rows in times 3, what it was doing was that for each row it was creating a reference to all the rows. So each reference was referencing all the rows as one row. It's as if connecting each of them by a thread, so that whatever happens to an item in one row will happen to all the items in the other row. So it was creating a list by reference, and it was not copying what you wanted. That is why you saw that when we populated the first one, the first item with 5, all the first items in each row was populated with 5. So that's not what you wanted. You just wanted only this row and the first item to have 5 and all the rest to have none. So you can see this is a wrong way to create a multi-dimensional list, and I've seen some people do it without realizing the unusual behavior in Python. So if you want to create a multi-dimensional list the right way, just follow this code that you see here. I will put the code, the files, the Python scripts in the description below, so you can download it and look through the code and maybe try out your own examples for your machine. So that's all for creating multi-dimensional lists with list comprehension. I'll encourage you to like this video and also subscribe to this channel, and when you subscribe, do hit the notification bell so that you keep on receiving all my great and awesome content on Python programming. We'll take you from beginners to the professional level. I also teach Python programming classes to beginners and professionals at all levels. And if you need homework help, just a little tweak, I'm available. My number is always available. These are my numbers. You can call me on this number, and then you can DM me on WhatsApp on this number. So thank you for being with me on this video on how you can create multi-dimensional lists with list comprehension. Goodbye. I'll see you next time, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.